जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय निताई गौरंग जय निताई गौरंग निताई गौरंग जय निताई गौरंग जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जम विष्णुपाद परमंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टादश डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text number 17. Shanvadam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hirdandastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhursata Shanvadam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hirdantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhursadam Shanvadam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hirdantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhursadam. Shanvadam Sakata Krishna Shravana Kirtana Ardantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhursadam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotees, cleans his desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Please repeat the translation. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. Messages of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna are not different from him. Whenever, therefore, offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastaka declares clearly that the holy name of the Lord has all the potencies of the Lord, and that he has endowed his innumerable names with the same potency. There is no rigid fixture of time, and anyone can chant the holy name with attention and reverence at his convenience. The Lord is so kind to us that he can be present before us personally in the form of transcendental sound. But unfortunately, we have no taste for hearing and glorifying the Lord's name and activities. We have already discussed developing a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. It is done through the medium of service to the pure devotee of the Lord. What was that verse? Anybody remembers? Last week only we discussed. Shusho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. So the process is Mahat Sevaya. So by that one can develop a taste for hearing and chanting the holy sound. The Lord is reciprocally respondent to his devotees when he sees that the devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord and has thus become eager to hear about him. The Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only very few men want to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Sri Krishna helps in all respects. One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in the devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. This is the Bhaktivedanta Purport. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Imate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidhinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashya Dadeshadarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So very famous verse we keep hearing. Shanvadam Sukatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridandastoi Bhadrani Vidunoti Suharta Sadam. So this Krishna Katha, anyone who developed the urge to hear this Krishna Katha, the message of Krishna, Shanvatam Sukatha Krishna, which is Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, it's very virtuous, the highest piety, just by hearing about Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna, the highest punya. Of course, it is not some material punya, it is a spiritual piety. And then what happens as a result? Hridantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti. So this is what the Krishna Katha does. Krishna's hearing about Krishna, it results in Abhadrani Vidunoti. Abhadrani means, what is Abhadra? Bhadra means auspicious. Abhadra means something which is inauspicious. So Abhadra, literal meaning of Abhadra is inauspicious. Prabhupada is translating here, Abhadrani means desire to enjoy matter. So the desire to enjoy matter is considered as very, very inauspicious. So when somebody hears the Katha Krishna Katha, then what happens? Abhadrani Vidunoti. Vidunoti means washed off, cleanses. So just by hearing about Krishna, their desire to enjoy this material world, gets cleaned. And where is this desire? Where is the desire? Hridantastho hi abhadrani. Hrida antaha. It is inside the heart. So deep rooted, the desire to enjoy this material world. We cannot clean it. There's no way for us to cleanse it. But here is a process. By hearing Krishna Katha, Abhadrani Vidunoti. All this inauspiciousness, the desire to enjoy matter, it is washed off. Suharta Satam. Lord, who is the Suharta Satam, who is the benefactor of the truthful devotees. When these devotees develop that eagerness to hear about Krishna, then that cleansing in the heart happens. So this is the verse. Nice verse, we all know this. Now let us talk about this. What are these abhadranis which has been mentioned here? Hridantastoya abhadrani vidunoti. So what are those abhadras which has been discussed here? Let us spend some time to discuss and understand these abhadras, and then we'll see that how this Krishna Katha helps to cleanse the heart. Okay, so what are the abhadras? What do you think? Okay, so Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, we call them the Shatripus. Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Mad, Matsarya. So these are anarthas. Okay, so these are gross anarthas. Somebody is very lusty, somebody is very greedy, somebody is very angry, somebody is very envious. So these are the things which is not good for a spiritual development. So it has to be cleansed first. These are all gross anarthas. Correct. What else? Okay, so then there is a subtle anarthas. Subtle anarthas are, so gross anarthas, we are talking about all these shatripus. Lust, anger, greed, jealousy, enviousness and all of that. Then there is subtle anarthas. So what are those subtle anarthas? They are also 6 in number. Anybody knows what are the 6 anarthas? Puja, Pratishtha, Labha, Kotinati, Jivimsa. What is one more? Nishiddha Achar. So Acharyas explain Nishiddachar, Kutinati, Jeev Himsa, Puja, Pratishtha, and love. We'll discuss about all that. Okay, so these are all subtle anarthas. Abhadrani. What other anarthas? We hear from Prabhupada that one should become free from all those things also. What is that? Bodily concept is okay, that is anartha only. Okay, Prabhupada says, this verse is quoted, that one should become free from Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. What is the next line? Jnana Karma Anavratam. So one should become free from this Jnana and Karma also. That is also anartha. This is philosophical anartha. This understanding is wrong. Somebody can think that by this Jnana I can advance, or by Karma I can advance. That is also a stumbling block on the progressive path. So, I was reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Interestingly, Prabhupada is, in one purport, he is explaining all these things. I was thinking that, and then I could relate with that. So let us just read this one purport from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes for Gundicha Mandir Marjan, the famous pastime. And this Gundicha Mandir Marjan, we understand that Mandir Marjan is about teaching us the heart margin. The Hridaya margin. Hridantasto Hiyabadrani Vidunoti. So there has to be cleansing of the heart. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through this pastime is teaching us, if you truly want to cleanse your heart, this is the way to clean your heart. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, though is the Supreme Lord himself, he is personally, he is engaged along with all his associates and devotees, and very thoroughly they are cleansing the Gundicha Mandir. Right. So in that one purport, so I'm not going in the story, I'll just directly read this purport. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 12, which is the Gundicha Mandir Marjan, and text number 135. So this verse says, Ei Mata Puradwara Age Patayatha Sakala Sodilataha Kevarnive Katha. Katha. Translation, Prabhupada writes, outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. Okay, so this is the verse, but very interesting purport. Little elaborate though, but let us read and discuss this. This is very much in connection on what we are reading today. Prabhupada writes here, in commenting on the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within one's cleansed and pacified heart. Why there is a Gundicha Marjan happens? Because why they do the marjan, Gundicha Marjan? Because the Lord is coming. So if Lord is coming somewhere, it should be clean place. Right? In the same way, if we want the Lord into our heart should be very clean, very pure. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a world leader, he is teaching us here through this. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastakam. What is that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sikshastakam. Cheto Darpan Marjanam. First our consciousness should be cleansed. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hridantastho Abhadrani. To wash away all dirty things accumulated within the heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed. Cheto Darpan Marjanam. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2:17 confirms this statement. Same verse what we are reading today. Shanvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hirdantastoya Badrani Vidunoti Suhrta Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So this is the verse we are reading today. Now, listen it. If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Shanvatam Sukata Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart. So if you hear, Krishna will clear. So here this is what is said. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart and the Lord wants to give directions. But one has to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundicha temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds of dust, in other words, Anya Abhilasha Purna, means there's so many desires. Anya Abhilasha Purna. So if heart is filled with so many desires, which is compared here to the straw and the sand and the weeds and all of that, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. So this is all jnana, karma, yoga. If somebody is slightly inclined toward all of this, then this is considered the contamination. There has to be the pure, unalloyed devotional service. So this is also considered, or this jnana, karma, yoga is also the contamination. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadi Anavradam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, which is the karma. That if I do nice activities, nice karma, punya activities and all of that, and that will be a pure life without any sin. So this is also contamination. Right? It is very difficult to understand for a common man. Only the devotees in Krishna consciousness, they understand all this. That even doing the punya karma also is considered the contamination because it will also bind you here in this material world. So, in other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment. Understanding the Supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activities, severe austerity and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. See all these jnanis, yogis, and all of that. It is just opposed to the spontaneous love of Godhead. One can attain only Krishna Prem by pure bhakti. There should not be any tinge of this jnana and karma and all of that. So that also has to be cleansed. Hirdantastoya Badrani. This is also considered as abhadra. Okay, let us read more. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. As soon as they are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our heart unless our hearts are cleansed. Right? So Lord cannot come into our heart unless our heart is clean. So it is very, very important that we cleanse our heart. Right? We are reading all this Damodar Leela. We see Krishna's childhood pastimes. That Krishna is famous as Makhan Chor, steals the butter. Right. So one of the explanation is given stealing the butter, because butter is very soft and it is white. So Krishna comes and steals the butter. So in the same way, when our heart becomes very cleansed, very white and very soft hearted, when we become, then we become qualified that Krishna will come and steal our heart. Right? Otherwise, Krishna cannot come into our heart. This is what is said here. Okay, now let us see here. So this is Jnana and Karma. A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed. Stated by Narottam Das Thakur. Samsara Vishanale Divanishi Hiya Jale Joda Ite Nakainu Upay. So these material desires are like that. So far the desires are there in the heart. Our heart will be like Divanishi Hiya Jale. Our heart will be day in, day out. It will be like Samsara Vishanale, like the forest fire. There is a constant anxiety, there is constant burning sensation in the heart. So far there is a material desire in the heart. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as, okay, now hear this. We think material enjoyment is all about just sense gratification, gross sense gratification. Prabhupada writing, material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to the higher planetary systems, and even living happily within the material world. These are all considered as material activity. Charity and all this austerity, auspicious activities, higher planetary system going there. This is all considered as material activity, material enjoyment. See, so much contamination is there. So that is why we have to read Prabhupada books very thoroughly, and then we understand. Oh, it's not about just some gross sense gratification only. Then no tea, coffee, no onion, garlic, no eating outside, eating bhoga. Oh, we are not doing that, we are already pure. These are all very gross things. And day one only the devotees start practicing all this. But there's much more to understand and contemplate that how to cleanse all our heart like that. Okay, Prabhupada writes more. Modernized material benefits are like the dust of material contamination. When this dust is agitated by the whirlwind of fruitive activity, it overcomes the heart. Thus the mirror of the heart is covered with dust. There are many desires for performing auspicious and inauspicious activities, but people do not know how life after life they are keeping their hearts unclean. One who cannot give up the desire for fruitive activity is understood to be covered by the dust of material contamination. Karmis generally think that the interaction of fruitive activities can be counteracted by another karma of fruitive activity. This is certainly a mistaken conception. If one is deluded by such a conception, he is cheated by his own activity. Such activities have been compared to an elephant's bathing. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over its body. If one suffers due to his past fruitive activities, he cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities. These are all mistaken conceptions. People think, oh, why I am suffering here in this world? Because of my bad karma. So in this life I should do good karma, pious activities. No, it is just like taking a bath and then again smearing in the dust. You are thinking that by doing auspicious activities, you will become happy, you will become free, but you are again getting bound. Right, so it's a mistaken conception. If one suffers due to his past fruitive activities, he cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities. The sufferings of human society cannot be counteracted by material plans. The only way suffering can be mitigated is by Krishna consciousness. When one takes to Krishna consciousness and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, the cleansing of the heart begins. When the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. See, when the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. In Bhagavatam, there is a verse. Who will quote that verse? Where Krishna says, I am sitting in the heart of the devotees. Okay, it might be difficult. So, Krishna confirms this. Sadhavo hirdayam mayam sadhunam hirdayam toham mat anyatya na jananti na ham tebhyo manakapi. So, Krishna says, Sadhavo hirdayam mayam. I am sitting in the heart of the sadhus, the devotees. Sadhunam hirdayam toham. And devotees are sitting in my heart, I am sitting in their heart. Mat anyatya na jananti. These devotees, they does not know anything but me. Na ham tebhyo manakapi. Why? Because their heart is clean. So when their heart is clean, Krishna is sitting in their heart. So the Lord confirmed that He sits within the heart of the pure devotees. Sadhavo hirdayam mayam sadhunam hirdayam toham. Okay, so this is karma. That okay, let us do some pious activities, some auspicious things, and our life will be better. This is a misconception. Then another thing is this jnana. That is also another contamination. Impersonal speculation, monism, merging into the existence of the Supreme, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, meditation are all compared to grains of sand. They simply cause irritation to the heart. See, this knowledge we keep hearing so much from Prabhupada, we have become so familiar, but it is so deep. Right? People can't even understand all these things. Everybody is the so-called spiritualist. They're engaged in meditation, charity, some good work, pious work, all kind of. Many of those sadhus, they are like nationalists. They talk about the nation and all that. But interestingly, none of those things are the actual spiritual activity. These are all contamination only. Not easy to understand all this. Not many people will appreciate all this. Many times, in fact, some people, they blame, they condemn. What are you doing for the society? What are you doing for the nation? Like that. What is this simply Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? Do something for the desh ke liye kuch karo. Something. These kind of ideas, people think that this is what is the real service. All this kind of, digression has come in the medieval time. Some of those famous so-called spiritual leaders, they came and they proposed this kind of ideas, and this contamination has been continuing since then. So that is why it is something very, very, it's an extremely rare thing, and it's extremely great fortune when one receive, then only we come in touch with a pure devotee and we get to hear this knowledge. And what is the real bhakti? The pure devotional service without any contamination of jnana, karma, and all this charity and so-called social service and all these kind of things. Most of the people, their idea of spiritual life is all about social service, help the needy, help the poor, and all of that. And they think this is what is the real spiritual thing. We are not saying that we should not help, but we should know that how to really help. What is the real help? Just giving the food to a hungry person is not the real help. People, they miss out to understand the root cause of suffering is not poor or something. Root cause of suffering is Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavancha kare. When we forget, we turn away from Krishna, that is when we get into all this kind of suffering. So the real help would be how to connect the living entity back to Krishna. That solves the real problem. Anyway, so all this Prabhupada is saying here, Prabhupada is writing that all these are anarthas. No one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such activities, nor do we give the Lord a chance to sit in our hearts peacefully. Rather, the Lord is simply disturbed by them. Sometimes yogis and jnanis in the beginning take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a way to begin their various practices. But when they falsely think that they have attained release from the bondage of material existence, they give up chanting. They do not consider that the ultimate goal is the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord. Such unfortunate creatures are never favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they do not know what devotional service is. Lord Krishna describes them in the Bhagavad Gita in this way: Tanham dushata kruran samsareshu naradaman chipami ajashram ashubhan asurisu eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Okay, so here is practical example. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us that all the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleans the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would again come within. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may become free from the desire for fruitive activities, sometimes the subtle desires for fruitive activity again comes into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into misunderstanding, described as kutinati, fault finding, pratishtha, the desire for name and fame, and for high position, jiva himsa, envy of other living entities. What is this jiva himsa? Are we doing jiva himsa? Prabhupada writes very nicely, he explains for devotees that how the jiva himsa applies to all of us practicing devotees. We'll read that. It's very interesting. And then Nishiddha Achar, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra. Kama, desire for material gain. Puja, hankering for popularity. The word Kutinati means duplicity. An example of Pratishtha, one may attempt to imitate Srila Haridas Thakur by living in a solitary place. One's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakur just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. See, so many varieties of material desires. All this Nishiddha, Achar, Kutinati, and Jeev Himsa, Puja, Pratishtha, Labh, these are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desire for women and money. Prabhupada writes that in the Bhagavad. Very difficult to overcome this women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar incarnation. So we don't do that avatar thing because people will just kick us out. Get lost, you avatar. Nobody accept. But this is very subtle. Desire to become a reputed devotee. I'm a very nice devotee. I'm a very kind devotee. I'm a very loving devotee. Right? The subtle desire is there. We try to be nice. So does it mean we should not try to be nice? We should be rude always? How do we understand? We hear that we should be nice. Then why this is a material desire? No, nothing artificial. See, there is a very thin line for every instruction. We had to be nice, but nice at what cost? In general, we should be nice. But if you want to be nice in all situations, because you want to maintain that kind of a reputation, right? So we should see, sometimes you have to be little strong, hard or whatever. You have to. Just you cannot be nice. It's a misplaced compassion. So sometimes you have to give strong feedback or some correction. They may not like it. They may blame you. Oh, this person is very harsh. All the time, he keep pointing out. All the time he just keep chastising. But if it is your service, then you need not to worry about being nice. Right? MPP explains all these things very nicely. Not how he was saying the temple commander job is like, his job is this only. Keep pointing out others. This is not right. That is not right. And sometimes I feel like, oh, I want to be nice. I want to be very kind and very loving and caring and like that. But that is not your job. Your service is to be like a police and keep catching the criminals. So whenever you see anything wrong, you may not like to do that correction. But because the correction is not accepted, the feedback is not taken, it's not welcome. Whenever you give any feedback to anyone, immediately that person is like, step back. I don't want to talk to this person. All the time you keep giving feedback. I don't like this person. So, but still, if it is your service, you had to do that at the cost of not being liked by anyone around. It is very painful. You understand? And nobody likes me here because I keep pointing out everyone. But this is your seva. So in that, if you want to, you try to maintain that good reputation, I am very nice. That is the anartha. That is the desire. We had to be nice, like that. Okay, we'll read a little bit more. The word Jeev Himsa. Okay, listen this, Jeev Himsa, what Prabhupada is saying. Envy of other living entities actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. This is Jeev Himsa. Stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada explained this. Preaching work is described as paropakar, welfare activity for others. Those who are ignorant of the benefits of devotional service must be educated by preaching. If one stops preaching and simply sits down in a solitary place, he is engaging in material activity. If one desires to make a compromise with the Mayavadis, he is also engaged in material activity. A devotee should never make compromises with non-devotees. See, this preaching, stop preaching. In general preaching, then refuting all these Mayavadis, no compromise with all these non-devotees. Sometimes we have to strongly tell the message. They may not like, but we have to do that. A devotee should never make compromise with non-devotees by acting as a professional guru, mystic yogi or miracle man. One may cheat and bluff the general public and gain fame as a wonderful mystic, but all this is considered to be dust, straw and grains of sand within the heart. In addition, one should follow the regulative principles and not desire illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, or meat. See, so much Prabhupada has given that what is this abhadrani in the heart. So many types and varieties of abhadrani. To give us practical instruction, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleansing was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as is evident from his using his own personal garments for cleansing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbances caused by material contamination. In other words, it is the process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. Even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the mind for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four principles of religious activity: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. See, this is also another type of contamination. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. All these are like spots on the clean cloth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to cleanse all these away. So many varieties. You see, you read the scriptures, all the scriptures are talking about these four things only. Four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed first time Pancham Purushartha. What is the Pancham Purushartha? Prema Pamartho Mahan. The love of Godhead. So all these scriptures are not talking about all this. Say, okay, do the Dharma, get the Artha, then do all your Kama. When you are done with all your desires, then Moksha. But moksha is considered as kavalyam narkayate, or Acharya saying it is as good as going to hell. So this is all anartha. So everything has to be clean from this cloth. There should not be any spot. So by his practical activities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our hearts. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite Lord Sri Krishna to sit down, and we should observe the festival by distributing prasad and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal behavior Everyone who spreads the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastising and praising individuals in the course of the cleaning, and those who are engaged as acharyas must learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how to train devotees by personal example. The Lord was very much pleased with those who could cleanse the temple by taking out undesirable things accumulated within. This is called anartha nivritti, cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Gundicha Mandir was conducted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and soothed to receive Lord Sri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbances. So this is what the cleaning is. So much cleaning has to be done. We are thinking we are already clean, we are very pure, we are very nice. We come to Mangala Arati and then we chant nicely. And we know that what nicely we chant. Right? Where is our mind? Where is our heart? So when we read and we contemplate on this kind of purport, then we understand that how far we are from the real Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is writing here, when we start to develop that eagerness to hear, that is the test. Do we have that eagerness to hear about Krishna? It won't happen actually. It is not that easy to develop that eagerness. Sometimes we don't understand what is eagerness. Any example of eagerness, like in our day-to-day life, when you really feel like, oh, I'm very eager? Something comes to your mind? Okay, maybe for someone it may be prashadam, not necessarily for everyone. What else? For different devotees can be different things. Right? Just think of the example of these kids. When we go for some trip or something. What is that? Alaska cruise or something. They're very eager actually. They wait. I don't know if adults also wait, but kids definitely they wait. That 2 more days and 1 more days and few more hours. And like that the countdown begins. Right? There's so much of that eagerness is there. Oh yes, we'll go on the trip, on the cruise and something like that. So that eagerness we also might have experienced in some way or other. So Bhagavatam also give the example of, it comes in the teachings of Vrittasur, the famous verses he speaks, where he says, this example is quoted, like the wife whose husband is gone far off for some work. In those days there was no free video calling or anything like that. There's no letter writing also. So this wife at home all alone, constantly thinking and very eagerly waiting this husband to come back. And if she knows he will be coming around this time, in this month, say November, then that wait starts 1 month, 1 more month, 30 more days, 29 more days, 28 days. That eagerness is keep increasing, and then a day he'll come. So that is the eagerness. Now, if we apply this eagerness, example of this eagerness, which aspect of Krishna consciousness that we are, this kind of eagerness we have? That tomorrow is Mangala Arati, I'm not getting sleep only, I'm so eager. Nothing happens. Somebody has to wake you up. Hey, Mangala Arati is starting here, come. Or maybe some alarm, I have to ring 2-3 times at least. In the class, Bhagavatam class, 8 o'clock now, Bhagavatam class, let me just go quickly, I don't want to do anything else. Is there any eagerness like this? These are all tests. What we are reading in the scripture. For chanting, there is eagerness. Now Mangala is getting over, 5:30 and 5:30 to 7:30 I want to chant. Now I want to do everything in the world between that time only. 5:30 to 7:30. Cooking, cleaning, so many other things, 100 things. So we may laugh on all those things, but this is a serious test for all of us. That where is our eagerness is? If that eagerness is not there, then we are actually stopping Krishna to come into our heart. Prabhupada is writing in this purport that Lord is more eager than us. Who is stopping Lord if he is more eager? We are only stopping. Say, wait, you might be eager. I am not eager. You just wait there. I am busy with so many things. Right? So we should constantly contemplate on all those things. Where is my eagerness? Why there's no eagerness is coming in chanting, hearing, reading, listening, and all of that. Preaching, something. So there has to be the eagerness. That is the test. So Prabhupada writes here, see, these are all simple things. Sometimes, when we read Prabhupada books, we very casually read all these things and it may not click. But if we read little carefully, then Prabhupada writes here, if we want to get rid of all dirty things from our heart, we must hear scrutinizingly about Krishna. This is the prescription given here. Shanvatam Sugata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. One must hear scrutinizingly about Krishna. What is this scrutinizing hearing? One hearing is present, tick mark, present sir, 100% attendance. That will anyway be there. But this is not equal to scrutinizingly hearing. So we hear, first of all we give the full attention. And if possible we take notes. Then we contemplate or we discuss. We should discuss. If you are not getting chance to discuss, you should contemplate. What was in today's class, today's discussion? What was 3 points, the most important point which resonates with me? Or something like that. That is scrutinizingly hearing. What is this verse is saying? What was explained in the class? What is the connection? What are there some similar other references? So this kind of things when we do, that shows our eagerness that we want to know more, learn more, like that. And then only this cleansing will happen. Otherwise all tick mark. And many times we wonder, it has been so many years. We have been practicing Krishna consciousness, but still there's so many desires. There is still anger. There is still some desires, enviousness and all of that. Why this cleansing has not happened? Because probably we short-circuited the process. Probably did not do the process properly as instructed by the Acharya. So these are the kind of things that we should be keep contemplating. And as here Prabhupada is writing that Krishna's name is not different. So Krishna comes, but how he'll come? When we give the attention. As Prabhu keep explaining. Attention is our Shakti. That is what we can offer. In anything, any activity we do, it can be doing Arati. We should be attentive. Dressing, Kirtan, class, chanting, cooking or any other service for that matter. What we can offer is, we can offer attention. So with that, there's a lot of purification will happen. Okay. So yeah, it's a very nice purport. Just one purport, Prabhupada explains so many things. So many different types of anarthas, gross anarthas, all this lust, anger, greed and all this desire to enjoy, then women and the money and so many other things. Then subtle anarthas, then Nishiddha, Achar, Kutinati, Jeev, Himsa, then Puja, Pratishtha, Labha. Then philosophical contamination, all this jnana, karma, charity, austerity and all of that. None of those things will help. Only pure bhakti, like that. Right, and then all this dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This is also another type of anarthas. So when we hear Sranvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, attentively we hear, then all these anarthas vidunoti suhardu sadam will be washed off. Okay. So let us just contemplate and then pray to Prabhupada and Krishna Balaram. Then how we can develop that eagerness to hear. Every opportunity we get to hear. It can be some reading call, it can be some Bhagavatam class or chanting time and all that. How we can be more and more eager. There might be 100 distractions, there might be 100 reasons to get distracted, but that is what is the austerity is. That's the tapasya. Despite all those urges, let me do this, let me do that, let me finish this, let me talk this also. So much of urge is there. So to stop, to hold that urge is an austerity. We seriously want Krishna to enter into our heart and cleanse our heart, we have to take that austerity. Okay, so we'll stop here. Anyone unless has any question? Yes. Hmm. Yeah, so during sadhana time, sometimes we try to focus, but then others comes and they try to distract you for not like for some silly reasons. It might be some genuine reason also. So what is my take on this is, first of all, we should be very, very convinced about that this is the most important thing for me, for your personal practice. And then gradually we can educate others or convey to others also that this time this is the most important thing for me. Unless it is something which cannot wait to do later or something, please help me to focus on this thing. So in a very respectful way, we can convey to other devotees also. And everybody is devotee, they will also appreciate, they will also respect that okay, this devotee wants to be very focused and fixed. Right? They will understand. We convey. See, sometimes we convey not only just by verbalizing the things, by talking the things. We convey by our conduct. See, I might say that, oh no, sadhana is the most important thing for me. Don't disturb me, sadhana. Don't ask me for any service. And after that, I'm just roaming around, talking, looking at the phone, this and that. So it is conveying something different than what I'm talking. Right? So I may not say that, oh no, this is the most important thing. But if I conduct myself that when during the sadhana, during the chanting, during the hearing Bhagavatam class, I am not distracted. I am not prioritizing anything. Something which might seem like very important, I'm still kind of postponing it unless it has to be attended that time. So when other devotees, when they see this kind of things, they themselves will check. They'll say, okay, no, we should not disturb this devotee. And if they don't understand, then we can gently say that, is that okay, Prabhuji, Mataji, if we can do it later or we can discuss later, let me focus on my chanting like that. So they will understand. So it's not like we are disrespecting or we are trying to be rude or we are trying to be like, showing that, I'm so special, and it's nothing like that. So everybody should understand. We also understand, and the other person also should take it in a positive way. They should not think, oh, this devotee is thinking as if he is only serious. Huh? We are not serious about sadhana. And that is their immaturity if they think like that. So they should also be mature. So everybody should become mature in a community. Like that. Okay. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nidai Gaur Premanand.